Give us a thumbs up. Maybe that's a thumbs up. I think
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Gym Crashers in the house with Adam Woods and Don Doe.
Shooter McGavin.
Joey the Bull in the house.
Yeah,
Special
man.
guest, Tristan.
Too tough. Ezell. Ezell from hell.
Ezell from hell.
That's right.
Not to be confused with Vince Michelle from hell
As well.
Oh shit. Anyway, my head just did like a weird deal. But fucking Tristan, what's up, man?
Right?
What's up, brother?
Good to see you. So for those who don't know already, you are fighting July 6th at the Commerce Casino for Sparstar, right?
That's right. That's
Hell
right.
yeah. So we're gonna get into that among many things. We're gonna ask you a lot of questions. I mean, one would even say we're probing, not like the
Not
atomic,
deep probing.
like the atomic fucking
know how
toe
you probe.
touch at Bellator.
Whoa.
But we're gonna go pretty invasive.
We're not touching any
so get your gloves
prostates.
ready, and this is what we're doing.
Hey, congratulations, by the way. Since you brought up Sparstar, congrats are in line because tell us.
Yes.
Tell us, Bob. What's behind door number
So
2?
on Sparstar MMA's social media pages, so shout out to
Tony.
obviously the T-Bone Steaks, Tony Padilla,
T-Bone.
Rick Hollywood, Michael Gross, the whole fucking Sparstar
Right.
team, because they just inked another deal to extend their residency for Sparstar at the Commerce Casino. So big shout out to you guys, because you guys know how hard you guys work, and you guys were able to pull this off after a amazing show in Hidalgo, Texas for Combate Americas.
Yep.
And still find a way by Tuesday to get this thing out. So shout out to you guys. So again, be glad that you'll be at Commerce Casino for a little while longer.
They're good
Actually,
fights.
a lot while longer, because it's a beautiful fucking venue.
It is.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
it
man.
is.
Yep.
It's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, I've got to go to a show there a couple months ago, and they had their last one. It was a good time.
It might be one of the funnest shows. I don't know what it is. I know it's amateur fights, but they are put on at such a high level.
I think it's the clash of everybody that comes and shows
Right?
up. It's like you got all kinds of people, and then the fights are just live action. You know?
I think
So,
you're right.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. Yeah.
They raised the bar, that's for sure.
yeah, definitely.
The bar, which is probably where you're going to be headed after your fight. So 10 points.
Yeah, maybe. You know,
Maybe.
We'll see.
We'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah,
We'll see.
We got to get the good result first. You know, that's the most important.
There you go.
And then we'll see how the night goes.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So,
Let's get into Tristan. I'm really curious. So I see the Brazilian Samurai MMA jacket on, but I don't think that's where you're from. Where are you from originally?
So I'm originally from Phoenix, Arizona. I spent most of my life growing up out there, from being super young to 18 years old. And then I decided to go out of state to college out in the Midwest in Minnesota and Nebraska.
Oh, shit.
Yep.
Were you a wrestler?
Yep.
That's why. That's wrestling country.
Yep. And it was definitely a challenge, man. Like, I came from Arizona where it was completely hot, lived right in the Phoenix Valley where it never snowed, and then
Right.
all of a sudden I took it to freezing temperatures and like snow days where town was canceled. So yeah, it was a pretty wild experience, but it brought me out. It showed me that life isn't as easy as it can be sometimes whenever you think that just because you're in a university that you're safe, because you're not. It's just as real as the real world. So, you know, you can fail, you can succeed in it, but I did a little bit of both. Got thrown back out into the world, went back to Arizona for a little bit, and then got the opportunity to come out to California. Moved out to California, got a little bit of a side job going, and then got into Black House Redondo Beach. Was there for a couple months, took an amateur fight, won the amateur fight for WFF in Tucson on August 9th of last year. So I'm about 10 and a half months from my last fight. But I went to Black House, the Pro Gym in Gardena.
Yeah.
Started training over there, working
lot
with
going on
Brazilian
there.
Samurai,
Yeah.
working with all the big guys, Lyoto, Bulletproof Troop, Danny, Raging Bull Arbajón, you know, all the guys.
Yeah.
And Warrior, Albert Morales. And, you know.
We love Albert.
Yep.
He's a homie.
Yep. Ever since then, you know, we've just been grinding, and now we're going to take the shot at Sparstar. So,
Cool.
Yep.
Coming up soon, July 6th, right?
That's right.
That's a Saturday.
Yep.
Commerce Casino.
hell yes. Hell yes.
Adam will be there. He's
Yeah.
got to represent the Gym Crashers. There's a bunch going on in July. That's Fight Week. There's UFC stuff going on in Vegas. There's Lights Out going on in Burbank. Sparstar's going on in Commerce Casino. I mean, what else?
There's a
So
shit
much.
Ton. Yes, shit ton. I mean, just even this weekend. I mean, you went to King of the Cage.
Yeah.
We were at Knockout Promotions down in Long Beach.
Long Beach, yeah.
Shout out to Antonio McKee and Tracy Hess.
Metroflex.
And all the, Metroflex guys, the Team Body Shop guys. You guys are the real MVPs.
So
My boy
Subfighter-
Jeffrey Lecraig had a great fight, was in control the whole entire time. His opponent couldn't come out second round. He said that he saw 4 of them before he could come out. So
Just gave it up.
Corner called it. Shout out Jeffrey.
Shout
Yeah,
out
man.
to Jeffrey. That's really
Hell
cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, so, I mean, there is a litany of names. I mean, names that people that are familiar with the Gym Crashers. No. I mean, Yoda Machida, that's a bona fide legend in the sport of MMA.
No doubt
So-
about it. Come on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Comes from a legendary fighting family.
Absolutely. So, do you ever get intimidated? I mean, obviously, the big move from Arizona, to Cali and what have you, but like getting to the Black, it's like they just had a
Open tryout.
open tryout, right? People were coming from far and wide, and you're in there. You're
Right.
You're kind of a made man. Of course, there's work that needs to be done, but you're in there. Do you get intimidated by training with all of the crazy dudes that you mentioned? I mean, the elite level athletes that you mentioned.
Right. And, that's a great question because for the last 11 months that I've been there, it was not an easy road. Like the open tryout that just happened, I think it was partially because of people like me that show potential and show that they want to reach out to aspire to do something else that's more than just taking a fight, looking cool for your friends in the neighborhood, and then never doing it again. They want to build up an amateur program that leads into the future for Black House to be back on the map in the professional level in the future. We're finding out that's what other gyms are doing around the country. They're investing in their amateur programs, and they're having these kids turn into savage pros by the time they're ready to go.
Wow.
And so that's what we want to do. It wasn't really necessarily a talked out thing. It wasn't necessarily even set in stone. I'm kind of more so saying this from like personal perspective, but just over the last 11 months, I stepped in there with the pros. I went to all the bolt wrestling classes. I went to all the striking classes, and I went from being just a college wrestler that didn't know how to properly throw a jab to still barely knowing how to throw a jab, but knowing how to do it now to where we're going to tag some people with it in the future. It's coming.
No, absolutely. Wait, so you mean like the Instagram fighter, that's not a thing? Because, I mean, if you hashtag MMA, and you'll see like a couple thousand, and it's like some dude in like Omaha or whatever.
Right.
Nothing against people in Omaha.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, you'll see like, I don't know, like at this current day and age, some guys that, even some girls that kind of fit the archetype of Tank Abbott.
Yeah.
In 2019.
That's
like,
a woman I got to see. A Tank
Yeah.
Abbott of a woman.
Right, exactly. So
Look at Joey laughing.
I'm just saying. I mean, nothing. I mean, I live in Atwater Village, people. We've got
right.
plenty of hairy women, I guess. I mean,
It gets hairy in
patchouli for
Atwater.
all, I guess,
I'm going to stay
right?
the hell out of Atwater Village if they're hairy.
patchouli for all. That's it. But yeah, so that's crazy that you guys are dispelling that myth.
Right.
But the tutelage that you're getting there, because you were just saying, like, you went from being a college wrestler to, kind of upping your acumen, even though you don't feel that you're kind of there. But, I mean, you're taking this fight in July. Obviously, there had to be some, conversations with your coaches. And, I mean, we're talking about the Brazilian Samurai. We're talking about Ray Genji.
Right.
We're talking about Kenny Johnson, Bolt Wrestling, right?
Right.
So for them to kind of sign off on you,
It's a big one.
Right. And, I appreciate it. And I think about that kind of stuff, and I consider it to be a blessing that those guys even give me the time of day to be able to train me for the dollar amount that doesn't even return their help. Like these guys, they commit more than just like showing technique. They commit their time, they commit their heart. Like they want to talk to you outside of practice. They want to make sure you're doing the right things. And, it's just a blessing to be able to even train at Black House, let alone have some guys believe in me. But, you know, it didn't like all start out that way. It started out with me at Black House being the new guy, and 4 or 5 months of me getting guillotined every single double leg I took, getting smashed on shots that I thought were perfectly executed wrestling shots. But in MMA, it's not the same. You got to shoot with your head in different positions. I almost said where, but you guys aren't going to find out, because you will soon enough. But I'm telling you, there's some things and some, you know,
different game.
Some mental demons and some growing up that needed to happen that in order to make it to where I'm at, still to where I can now call Black House home and train there on the everyday basis that I am, and
That's a beautiful thing, man.
work towards what I want. Yeah,
You worked
Thank
hard
you.
for it.
Yeah,
I
thank you.
love that because we know what it takes to be there.
Right,
You know, savages.
right.
It's pretty cool, especially coming from Arizona, dude.
Thank you.
I don't know how you accomplished that because it's such a hard place to find. There's no sign on the door. We've driven by. It's
Right.
a warehouse.
Right.
And you might as well just have a murder scene there. Nobody knows what's going on. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But we
There
love it.
might be. You just don't know. And I don't ask the questions I don't want the answers to.
There's some things we just, you know,
Yeah,
we'll
exactly.
figure out another time. Yeah.
Don't tell nobody.
Just bring the bleach
Just saying, I'm
and the
just saying.
plastic bags.
Right.
Seen the movie.
And the mops.
Said too
wrapped in
much.
crackers.
Damn it.
Right.
They're gonna know where I live.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Not too far
Damn
from
it,
there.
down there.
It's all good, man. So tell us, got upcoming fight. What is different in your game plan right now? I mean, you don't have to give away the whole plan, but you know, how have you changed and evolved?
So, you know, I think the main thing that's changed in my game plan is that I'm going to actually be able to fight instead of being able just to defend myself.
Got it.
Where as an amateur, the fights that I've taken before, I've taken 3 amateur fights. I've won my last 2 and I lost my first one.
Okay.
And they basically were instinctual fights with some training tied behind it, but no actual like daily regiment training like Black House. I was just like training with people that had MMA experience or like, you know, some personal friends that wrestled in college that are pro fighters that would help me out from time to time. But I'm talking about like getting 1 session of pads during the week at the park
Yeah.
because my
That's
buddy's
nothing.
off work and like I need to get ready for a fight.
Yeah.
Type thing. So
Pretty brave to get into the cage with just some pad work at the park.
yeah.
That is savage.
Yeah.
But I can kind of see what you mean. So, you know, there are 2 mentalities. You get in the cage and you want to survive, or you get in the cage and you want to kill someone.
Right.
And I think wanting to kill someone is the right attitude.
Yeah.
You know, obviously not put them in the dirt, but, you know, as best you can, put someone out,
Right.
right?
Right.
Go out swinging.
Yeah. Exploiting God's greatness through combat and through life is something that I go by.
Look at that. That's a T-shirt waiting to happen. A bumper sticker right coming from the mouth of Too Tough himself.
Working on it. We're
Right?
trying.
I like it.
I mean, Albert Morales is saying, who you are?
You
Who
too
you
tough.
are.
Who you are. I like
that's-
the English today. Who you are.
Yeah, I had to read that 3 times. I was like, am I going dyslexic? Shout out to Albert. What's up, my brother?
Shout out Josiah.
Yeah, right? Albert watching our show, that's really cool. We
Yeah.
love the guy, you know.
Great
He's
guy.
doing great things in the world of MMA, so
Yep.
we're big fans.
Yeah, absolutely. And shout out to Fernie Flores, Jose Flores, and
Fernando
Vince Moore.
Flores.
So
Shout
thank
out.
you guys for tuning in.
Conca Gear, get some.
Conca.
Conca's Fernando's
Isn't that
company.
thing with the Mexican bread and the fucking ice cream? I'm on a diet, folks. So
I think that's a concha.
yeah, that's a
Joey knows all about concha. He's
Concha?
rubbing his concha right now.
Sí, that's
Concha
buena.
Libre?
Mucho buena.
There you go. Thank you, Joe.
Okay,
Joe's off
10
camera, but we
points.
love him.
Yeah, that's our Spanish translator, Joey
He is.
Hinojosa.
That's right.
Sí, mucho buena.
Hey, but shout out to our sponsors, Cauliflower Nation, Chris
And our
Correo.
Life CBD. Holy crap!
Our
Right,
Life
in our
CBD.
life, Sean Lerma and the crew at Our Life CBD get some. Oh, here it comes. Producer Robert knows I can sometimes catch. If you zoom in on that, you might see a label, you might
It's gonna
not.
smell.
But it is the smell check's good. Yeah, check that out.
Oh yeah.
He's brave enough to smell something I handed him. I like that. That guy's a
Coulda
homie
passed
right
out.
there, you know, you just never know. Here you go, Woods. Put some on.
Okay.
You could use some of that.
right.
Wake you up.
Especially in the anal wart.
Whoa, whoa. That's Joey. Voice.
Right now, damn you! Fuck it.
Joey, why don't you applaud it for him? He can't reach.
It's. You know what? Carry on, guys. I'm gonna stick here with.
That's right.
So back with Gym Crashers.
Yes,
Yeah.
back on Gym Crashers, and again we have Too Tough Ezell in the house and getting ready for a fight. Coming from Arizona, moving to California, spent a little time in the Midwest.
Yep.
They snowed him out. He's moving up in the world. Obviously, with Black House, there are big things coming. They're training him really well. I can't say enough good things. I think that he's got the right recipe for success. We'll see on July 6th. So if you can get out there to the Spar Stars Commerce Casino, that's the place to be.
Absolutely.
Right.
You know?
Oh yes. So, I mean, in your development, obviously, you know the wrestler that you came into Black House as, right? That you came from Arizona to California as, right? But are there like life lessons that you're being taught on a daily basis that you're like, hey, you know what? I'm not the same dude that I was a year ago. I know it's hard to say because, you know, you're going into a fight or these taglines of like being an amateur. I'm sorry. That is bullshit because you see how these guys and girls can throw hands.
They're hungry, bro.
Do jiu-jitsu
Right?
and whatever. Like tie you up
Hungry.
in pretzels. There ain't no amateur shit about this,
Right?
folks. When you come to one of these camo sanctioned events, you're going to see war. That's literally it. And it's not just war. Because I want to get off of like the killing and shit for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But anyway, the thing about it is you're seeing two propagators of their martial arts, and it is the end product, the byproduct of all of their coaching and everything, and literally manifesting into this one night. And it's like the best human chess that you could ever fucking do. You know, it's like game, set, match. You can do MMA math all the time in your head and still get it completely fucking wrong. That's why I don't do picks, because it's just like, what in the fuck?
Yeah,
You just
the
never
fighter's
know.
got to show up. He might be a great fighter at the gym or dojo, but showing up on fight night is a big deal because you got 6 weeks of fight camp.
Absolutely.
You got a weight cut.
Yeah.
You got cameras on you. You got lights on you. You got your friends and family in the audience and your instructors and your training partners. It's nothing but pressure,
Yep.
right? And a pressure that you may not know till you do it a few times.
Absolutely. So, you know, what are the subtle changes that you've kind of seen within yourself over the last year?
So I would definitely say the things that I've seen change the most, especially over the last 6 months, have been mainly just how confident I've become in myself and being able to know that I do belong where I'm at.
That's right.
And, you know, no one ever told me that I did, and no one still has because they don't need to. And, you know, there's still some times where I just feel like, you know, whenever the tryout happened, I felt like that was kind of a way for them to be like, hey, these guys still can come in here and like make sure that you're out of the way if we need more people to come in for them.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I just wanted to make sure that whenever they came in that I was going to be in the position to where there was absolutely no way that I was losing my placement. And whenever they came in and showed me their stuff, I made sure that I was absolutely in the dominant position to make sure that I'm going to have my placement. And, you know,
That's huge.
That's building the placement in the gym, and it's developing the confidence to be able to build a placement in life and know exactly where I deserve to be in the future. So, you know, outside of the fighting, I know that there's things that are greater than all of us together in religion and God and faith and belief. And, you know, I know that outside of this, it might look like brutality in some ways, but there's just things that people have to understand, that people like myself need something like this in order to possibly build a career that we envision that's greater than just being a fighter. I want to be a professional athlete that comes from a wrestling background of over 15 years and college wrestling, academics, and athletics. And I want to be able to share it with people and help them build self-defense and build something in themselves without having to go through the 20-plus years that I did of looking for the right location, looking for the right spot, looking for the place that's going to help me build me and become the champion that I want to be.
Wow. That's heavy, man. Giving back already.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
That's huge. And I like the ideology that, you know, it took you 20 years, but you know you can fast track someone because you got the knowledge.
Right.
You know, that's pretty cool. So,
Right.
big things to come. I always believe that the people that give the most get back the most.
Right.
Right? So, that's what it's all about. And it sounds like you're pushing forward with that. Any fighters that inspired you to step into MMA? I realize as a wrestler you were real focused, but, you know, the change had to happen.
Yeah. So, you know, honestly, I would say if there was any fighters that I was inspired by when I was coming out of college, it would probably be just fights that I saw in the past that inspired things that I was currently doing
Yeah.
that reminded me that I could possibly do that in the cage right now.
So recognition of.
I think it was
something
kind of.
you
I
do.
think that was kind of where the self confidence came from in the beginning, from where I was
Yeah.
taking the fights anyway.
It's got to
Because-
be real first, right?
Right. Yeah. Like I see these guys and they do the similar motions and they do the things that I was like practically doing on the mat, and I was like, yeah, some punches involved, some kicks involved. That's
Yeah.
not going to be that big of a deal.
I'll wrestle the hell out of them.
And then all of a sudden you get in there and the door closes and you're like, wait, which hand do I throw with again? What? Where do I
the
go?
footwork's a little different too,
Yeah.
But wrestling's a great foundation to build off of, and certainly, if you stick to your foundation, you can put someone on their back
Right.
and go to work from there. It's happened.
Right.
Great fighters have come from that. Many of them.
Yep. Yeah, I will say Lyoto Machida, the guy that,
How do you get a hold of Lyoto Machida? How do you close the distance and take a shot on a guy with that stance and
Yeah.
that in and out karate tournament training?
the thing that's been amazing about my training over at Black House with my experiences with Lyoto is that whenever I get to the clinch position, it's one of my more like comfortable positions
Sure.
in all of fighting because it's where I've been comfortable in wrestling for years. Whenever I first went my first round with Lyoto and we clinched in the cage together at Black House, my heart was probably going at about 125, 135 beats per minute.
Sure.
And whenever I was sitting there figuring out what I was going to do, I stopped for a second and I felt Lyoto's heart rate. And it was probably going at about 60 to 70.
Just resting,
Wow.
Yeah.
right? But that's a samurai, dude. His dad raised him to be that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No comparison,
Him and
right?
Chinzo.
It's birth.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Right.
that's crazy that you recognize that. So breathing, I think breathing is a big part of it, right?
Breathing, taking a second to figure out every situation, even though it's a game of inches and centimeters and seconds.
For
in the
sure.
blink of an eye, it's over. You have to settle because when you don't settle and you're just a constant whirlwind, something crashes and
Yeah.
you're done.
Yeah. You're gonna wear yourself out quick.
Yeah, big
You're
time.
gonna last 3 rounds or 5 rounds, whatever it may be. So those
Yep.
they go on forever for somebody that's really overthinking, overmoving,
Right.
overdoing it.
I see one of Bellator's biggest fighters, Aaron Pico.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but that guy, man, he gets so lost in how good he is
Yeah.
at certain
He's
things.
a talent.
Yeah,
man.
absolutely.
That as soon as he gets just ball rolling, all of a sudden he gets lost in this trance and he doesn't know how to pull out of it. And the person, after 3.5 or however long minutes of getting taken down, they're like, all right, next time he does this, I'm just going to sit down.
They figure it
and
out.
then as soon as he comes up, I'm going to blast him because he's going to come and do the same thing again.
I think you're absolutely right that he's young, hungry,
So hungry.
talented, but putting it together in a way that makes him successful has been elusive to him.
I almost think his mind is so strong that it's almost corruptive.
Yeah.
I think he's made himself into such an animal that it's almost like destroying him at the same time.
It's been a past couple fights that have kind of called that into question. So I think that his camp needs to kind of take a look at what they can do to fix that.
Yep.
Right?
Well, I believe he switched camps the last one.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
he's not at Body Shop anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
He's a Jackson.
Yeah, Jackson Wing.
That's a
Yeah.
place to kind of
And
change
it's
it up
still-
for you, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But
He's still lost in the Jackson wing.
right.
Yeah. Well, it's
Because
new
they're
too,
they're
though.
pushing the wrestling a lot. A lot.
Yeah,
Right.
and
You
maybe
could tell.
that's not it. Wait, that's his talent.
Right.
Right.
But let's build on something else
He
because
knows,
he can
but,
do it.
But the thing is that exactly that's his talent. But let's not have history place that guy as only a super talented wrestler for the rest
Sure.
of his career.
Sure, let's
You know.
expand.
You know, Lyoto's 40 plus years old throwing flying knees.
Yeah, incredibly.
Insane. It just, you never know what's going to happen. So,
He drinks his own pee, so I need to do that.
yeah.
Right.
He drinks it a lot.
Yeah. Adam does that.
Adam's teeth are yellow, so yeah.
Sometimes, if the mood is right, and what you're mixing with it.
But they
You
say
just
that they're pissing out good vitamins, and he takes them back in. I just can't get over the taste. I don't think I could do it.
I don't know that I would know what the taste would be.
Well, I can help you with
just
that.
She
God
just
bless
got turned
Lyoto.
into like R. Kelly's Confessions or some shit.
Leono is
fuck are we
doing
even
what
doing here?
men should do, is drinking his own pee.
Yeah,
I wonder if it's room temperature or 98.6 degrees.
I thought you were going to go
Refrigerated.
98
Oh,
degrees.
refrigerated is
Refrigerated.
gnarly.
I was going to say, I thought you were doing like 98 degrees like the boy band of the 1990s.
No, I was talking about your body temperature.
Ooh, damn. Exchanging body heat in the passenger seat. But anyway.
Whoa.
Shit,
Hey.
man.
Hey.
Which, okay, so we mentioned Aaron Pico, and when you said that,
That's a wide open subject that I'm almost scared to delve into because it's right now it's current.
Right.
You know?
absolutely.
I want to see better, but I'm
Right.
so worried.
Well, okay, so Tristan, as an accomplished wrestler of 15 years, tenure, what is your ideology about guys like Aaron Pico or Justin Gaethje? I mean, top level talent in terms of wrestling,
Right.
pedigree, right?
Right.
And they abandon principle completely
Right.
just to stand and bang because they want to see, like exciting fights and what have you. Obviously, they're incurring. Some would argue unjust damage to their body. They're kind of shortening their career,
Right.
because usually so many shots that you can take to the head before, you diminish in skills. Chuck Liddell kind of showed us all that, right?
Yeah.
So, what is your
It isn't
personal
skills.
ethos or opinion about, wrestlers just completely, kind of degrading their bread and butter just to go and stand and bang?
So the thing is that I think it's honestly a good idea whenever it's done the right way, because without striking you have no wrestling.
Right.
So if you can't even set up your wrestling with strikes, or if you can't have them come into you with strikes, and then your wrestling's not going to be there. So it's just like my first couple fights. I had wrestling. It can get you by against like some barely amateur level opponents or whatever the case be.
Yeah.
But if you can't throw hands, you're not going to be able to come to California. You're not going to be able to come to Nevada, and you're not going to go anywhere in Florida and go win a fight at the amateur or pro level. You have to know how to strike.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know how to keep distance. You have to know how to do your footwork. And then none of that's wrestling. So it's just like Pico when he got knocked out by Rosales from the lab, and it was the overhand.
Corrales,
yeah.
Corrales, my homie.
Yep.
So
So
actually, you train at this very
Yeah, he's sweat and bled in this very wall structure that we're in right now.
yeah. Hey, shout out to him,
Yeah,
because
no,
you
he's a
know
great
what?
guy. MMA lab, man, they're good guys.
Exactly, and that's over in Arizona.
I know
too.
that's your hometown,
Yep,
boy.
that's
Yeah,
right.
damn
Hey,
right.
that's right. Hey, I tell you,
Benson Henderson.
Corrales, man, he kept a good job by letting Pico think that he was in a wrestling position by keeping barely a hand on his head.
Yeah.
And whenever Pico thought he had the same comfortable position and walked a couple steps,
Just uppercut,
Yeah.
hook,
yeah.
right? And they're deadly too. They're vicious
Yeah.
hooks.
And to watch it live, man, I was on the floor.
He hits so hard. He hits so hard.
Oh my gosh, that was such a cathartic moment and whatever. Like everything just stood still, and
Well,
then there was just an elixir.
The future
yeah.
of what may be Aaron Pico was in question, and then he came back in the same.
Right,
thing
absolutely.
happened.
100%.
So I can understand why the topic is up right now. And
Right.
Robert has something interesting on the screen that you're going to put up behind us.
No.
Oh, okay.
Team Zeal take us down.
Okay, well,
But anyways,
get the microphone so we can hear you.
BJ Penn picked up a win this weekend against a bouncer at Feb New.
Wow, tell us about that, Robert. We're talking about BJ Penn in Hawaii. Is this in Hawaii?
Yeah, I was at a strip club. Got
On
extremely
Kuhio?
drunk.
Oh,
Got-
okay, boogie border.
Got into it. They escorted him out. Then he decides to take down the bouncer at the front door, mounts him, like just puts the forearm in the throat. They're trying to get BJ off. Some random guy starts punching BJ in the face.
Whoa.
BJ doesn't even care. He's still like trying to choke the guy on the ground.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of funny.
because
He got
that's
dubbed.
yeah, dude. That's BJ Penn for you guys.
I love the man. I don't care. Take the W when you can get it.
Which damn, shots fired.
That's right. It's a fact.
No.
Malacca Solutions.
Yeah, well, I mean, that actually, I don't know if there's a right way to bring this up, but there was actually an incident that happened at Knockouts Promotion where
Bring it up.
There was
Oh, yes, that's
So,
right. I
There's
saw
a battle outside the battle.
Yeah, unfortunately, cooler heads didn't prevail, and a couple fights broke out within the
Crowd?
fans, right? And here's the thing: we buy our tickets, we patron, us will do interviews or whatever, but like we are guests, ultimately of the promotion.
That's right.
When you get into fights like that, obviously cage fighting, when people that aren't in this community, they already have a preconceived notion of what it is that we all are a part of. They think that we're just like, I don't know, glorified cockfighting that New York, state kind of said, when they were trying to get MMA legalized and what have you. So when these things happen, obviously, like, there's fights going on in the cage, and yes, they're fights because damage is accrued, but really, again, what you're seeing is two competitors at the highest level that they can be at that particular moment, right, testing their mettle against each other. Coaching strategies being tested.
It's still a
against each
sport.
other.
It's
Right,
sport.
It's sport.
It's
sport.
not bare knuckle fighting organization.
Right, absolutely.
True that.
Shots fired.
I'm sorry.
No, yeah.
I'm a
we'll-
fan.
and
I'm
we'll
a
get-
fan,
we'll
but
get
it
into
will.
that,
I'm a
right?
fan, but it's almost a destruction of MMA as well. But we'll
Right.
talk.
No, absolutely.
That's a good
and
notion,
I
though.
definitely want to get your comments on it. But here's the thing. So this almost kind of regates back to UFC 199, right? Right after Bisping knocked out Rockhold, right? And we're,
Seems
I
like
was
yesterday.
a fan at this at the point, right?
Yeah.
And, I mean, growing up in Inglewood, having my high school commencement ceremony at the Forum, being laughed at, like, hey, you cover that cage fighting thing? That's so stupid. This will never work. And for a sellout to happen and a title change to happen at the Forum, huge for me. It was a personal win, And since there's been 2 UFCs, 3 Bellators, incredible, right? But 2 guys were drunk and they saw Matt Hughes and Robbie Lawler, right? The current champion at the time, UFC 199, current champion, and I mean, literally like one of the cornerstones of that division, right?
Sure.
And this is pre him getting hit by a truck,
Obviously.
right? These guys
By a train.
saw fit
Train.
to literally wrangle these 2 legends of the sport by the scruff of their neck and go like, "Hey, you want to get a picture?" The thing about it is, yes, fighters, whatever, but these are people, right? So when you do things that are not, that besmirch the sport, it really messes with the fighter that has trained so hard to get to a point where they're fighting for your hard paid dollar. This particular instance that happened this weekend, it happened literally as the first fighter stepped into the cage for the main event. You're main eventing a title fight, right? That there is nothing more important in your career than that moment right there, right? And then you're already going through a multitude of different emotions, feelings. You've got your family in the crowd, all this stuff. Your coach is telling you the last minute instructions. You're about to see your opponent make his way, just like as you did, to the cage, right? And you guys are going to engage in battle, right? And then the last thing that you need to see is the ring announcer say, "Hey, because of this fight, this card could get canceled." Right? I mean, you're taking away from that. You're not the star of the show. If you wanted to be at the star of the show, you would have chained and gotten in the cage your damn self.
Yeah, it's
You
like
know?
walking dog shit into someone's house. Wipe your feet before you come in.
Right, exactly.
Please.
So,
Come on.
yeah. It was just a bit distasteful, and we're finding out that one of the people who were supposed to make their debut on July 6th may not, because he was defending himself. And that's really, really unfortunate,
Yeah.
because he was getting razzed for the better part of 2 hours by a particular community. And again, nothing against it.
As fate would have it.
But it just
happens.
sucks because nobody wins, because there are people in the crowd that may not be MMA fans, right? This might have been their first dance at the rodeo.
Yeah.
And essentially, they're there with their kids and, they're with their families and whatever. And they may never, look at the sport the same way again. You've basically turned them against the sport. And for what? For what?
Yeah, I don't know
about right.
exactly why that happened, but it's an interesting thing. But hopefully it made everybody more excited and throw even harder. I don't know.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Gotta look at the positives.
Yeah.
I get all pumped up when I see that stuff.
Yeah.
But you had fun. That's what mattered, right? Knockout's an awesome promotion. If you're in Long Beach, hit it up.
absolutely. And this doesn't at all
Reflect on them.
come under the Knockouts promotion brand. This is something that happened beyond their control, and where the cooler heads that should have prevailed didn't. You know, and that's not besmirching Knockouts at all, or any promotion that happens, because obviously
gonna
they have
happen.
security in place to make that happen.
We've
But
seen it happen in the parking lot.
right? But yeah, it could happen in the parking
Right.
lot. It happens
All the time.
It just does. It is fighting.
Every Black Friday when there's a toy that somebody wants to get and somebody cuts the line. We see it happen all the time.
I just shop online, but thank you,
You
for
know?
that.
Yeah.
There you go.
I do Cyber Monday. But check out that shirt. Hey, what do you got there? Robert's got the screen up. And there
Thor.
it is. It's Thor Skanky. Is that Channel 5 News?
Yes, it is.
Whoa.
Yes, he was promoting
pretty
101
cool.
Boxing Club out there in
Newbury
the 805 area code.
It's Newbury Park, 101.
Yeah, man.
Check it out. Thor's on TV. I dig it. They probably can't even hear me. Robert probably shut my sound out.
You can. They can hear you.
It's all good,
We
Robert.
got audio on them or us?
On you guys.
Okay, yeah. But basically, Thor is at this point explaining how Title Boxing in Newbury Park had closed up, and he and his co-founder of a 101 Boxing were kind of sulking at the bar because they had literally 72 hours notice that this boxing club that had been their refuge for so long that they were able to, in a very real way, combat most people's Parkinson's disease, because the muscle memory and everything like that, it literally slows down the effects of Parkinson's for people that are affected.
Such a
right?
positive we need to hear about
Right.
boxing right now. That's a good thing.
That's an amazing thing to happen, right? And in the clip, and you can check that out on ktla.com.
That's cool.
But they're talking about, hey, this place, that was our sanctum, is being closed, and they look over at each other and they go, "We should start something. Let's get to work." And within a week, literally, we heard about 101 Boxing, and only its infancy, they're already on KTLA,
That's
showing
amazing.
what they are. So shout out to Thor, shout
Thor's
out to
doing
Kathy,
good work, man.
and 101 Boxing in
Yeah.
Newbury Park. Check them out.
Cool.
Yeah, man.
Dig it. Check out Adam's shirt. He's wearing a Combates Estrella shirt. I don't know if
Look
he
at
was
you.
in.
You're wearing a CFL shirt.
I did the CFL because Suicidal Tendencies playing there in August.
Oh yeah,
and
dude,
I'm going.
I think we're gonna
Right?
make the
I'm a
trek to
Suicidal fan. I
to
gotta go.
Victorville
There you
for
go. Right?
CFL.
Even though Mike Mirror looks a lot like Joey these days, he does. The singer, Cholo Mike.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Psycho Michael looks just like you, man. You guys would be brothers.
I gotta check them out.
You gotta check him
What's
out.
the band called?
Suicidal Tendencies. Check it.
Dude,
But getting back to Combates, we want to give a shout out to Coop.
Cooper Gibson.
about it. Tell us about it.
Gibson, went into, I don't want to say enemy lines, but he was facing Richard Palacios, who's
Hometown
a Combate
hero.
Yeah, Combate veteran. And in his hometown of Hidalgo, Texas, that's where the Combate Hidalgo emanated from.
It's the Wild West.
Right,
They're
and
gonna take
he
you out.
went in and put on a grappling clinic that most people, I don't think, were prepared for. So shout out to Coop. That was an amazing, amazing victory. But again, there was a multitude of different combat sports related events this weekend, and one is bare knuckle. And our guy Tristan has some pretty interesting thoughts. So let's get to that. What did you think of the card?
I thought I didn't really get to see too much of it. I saw that Artem, I think, got the win very soundly over
over
Pauly.
Malignaggi.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I will say, growing up as a very serious sports fan as a kid, I heard a lot of Pauly Malignaggi whenever he was done boxing. I heard a lot of him doing a lot of talking, and pretty much that's all he did, getting ready for the fight card as well. And it's one of those things where it's a show. It's a whole, it's more than, it's not a sport. That right there is entertainment / brutality at something we've never seen before. And so it's exciting, it's new, it's like, wow, they're actually doing it. And, you know, for some people, just like MMA, I see, you know, that they want the best of it, which is the reward, the financial reward
Sure.
from the fighting. I get that part.
It pays better.
Right. I get that. But at the same time, we're talking about bare knuckle boxing where you punch the wrong way one time, your hands are broken, and you're
done.
still fighting. You punch the wrong way one time, someone's jaw is completely broken. I mean,
Busted orbital.
Yeah.
Could be a career ender. Who knows?
Yeah. Wasn't there something about the fight where someone's eye was like coming out of their head, kind of?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I want to say it was. I don't know if it was BFFC, or BKFC.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a
Well,
bare knuckle
Donald
fight.
Cerrone almost lost his entire vision from that recent fight.
You
Yeah.
know,
He
yeah.
blew his nose, and then it just closed
Right.
up.
Right.
Right.
And if he messed with it at all, it was very dangerous. So,
I didn't know that
and I
was a
love the
thing.
guy. I love to watch Cowboy fight. So let's hope the best for him.
So, I mean, you were saying that you don't really think that there's too much of a place.
I think that it's kind of like the strip club organization where basically it's going to be.
Or the lingerie fighting championship.
Yes.
Why do
I
know that?
absolutely
Yeah.
love that.
Hi, honey.
Hey,
Tell us,
don't get
Joe.
me wrong. Very entertaining.
Yeah, but not really mixed martial arts.
Right.
It's more like pro wrestling, that other sport.
Right. Except this is for real.
Yeah.
These guys are actually
That's true. That's true.
really hurting each other.
Yes, yes,
Like, this is
destroying
not.
themselves.
It's actually not fake at the end of
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Donda, your thoughts on the
Bare knuckle.
going
I
on?
mean, I'm always excited to see fights, but
Right.
gosh, yeah, I wonder about longevity. You're going to destroy your hands. You're going to destroy the. You know, everything just takes its toll a lot quicker.
Right.
Okay, and you already got fight miles just to be a name to get into that organization. So you don't have that many more miles to be
Right.
doing this type of fighting. So it shortens everything, and maybe that's what we're lacking right now. I mean, I love that there's a whole lot of combat sports everywhere. There's just so much. There's Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, obviously MMA, obviously bare knuckle. We just keep going on and on and on. But we lack a certain allure of stars, like the guys I looked up to when I first found the sport. We don't have that. We have a new crew almost every fight card. And then I see maybe one or two sprinkled on there.
Right.
You know, it used to just be a packed card.
Right.
So now I watch for fights, but I don't necessarily know the fighters. They haven't really built their names up, and they don't build their characters and personality much the way that they did in the early days. And I think that had to do with a lot of, as these guys have told me, Joe and Adam, maybe crossing over from pro wrestling.
Right.
And I didn't know that was a big deal, but we talked about what it takes for the 6-week fight camp, the weight cut, the lights, the interviews, the cameras, the friends,
Right.
the family. But then there's representing yourself in such a way. We watched Conor do this, the greatest ever. He represented himself into a $100 million fight.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Talked himself right into it. I mean,
Right,
it didn't happen
absolutely.
overnight, but and there's guys that are wonderful, great fighters that have had lengthy careers, but most people don't know who the hell they are if you're not really into it.
Right.
Because they just haven't been taught how to really sell or put
Or
your
market
personality
themselves,
into
right?
it, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
That's a tough thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so there's a couple different schools of thought in regards to bare knuckle specifically, because, I mean, I guess one of the major mainstream advocates for this type of sport is Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan has famously said for years, he was like, I don't want gloves. I don't want gloves. It should be just, you tape your hands and whatever. And, sometimes the gloves can be a deterrent because, like, okay, you're going to punch this guy in the head. If you didn't have that glove, would you make that decision? Probably not, because
Yeah.
that forehead is going to essentially shatter everything here, right? And in terms of the origins of bare knuckle, I almost regard that almost like catch wrestling, where it almost predates a lot of things that we find commonplace here in North America, like a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I think predating Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, not so much Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, but it was catch wrestling. Even predating boxing was bare knuckle, because I think in the evolutionary chain of mixed martial arts, it was bare knuckle first, and people were doing exactly what we're seeing today,
Sure.
where they were breaking.
It wasn't yet a sport.
everything, right? And they were
This
like,
was
hey,
the art.
right? And I have to tape up something
Yeah.
and put something
Yeah.
against. You know, so
All I'm gonna say is do we really want to take the risk of letting it go on to see if someone's gonna get paralyzed or die while doing it, which is eventually what happens to people that do it for a longevity.
That's right.
They become
And it really
absolute.
makes it harder to do it for everybody else.
right. I totally agree with that, because I mean we've seen in terms of lapse commissions, like in I believe it was somewhere in Canada where it was a boxing fight, and it was a UFC veteran that had pretty much not gotten checked out in terms of what it happened like at a reservation or whatever, so it was away from the guys of the local athletic
You
commission.
don't want to say the name of the person?
I can't.
Yeah,
I can't
remember?
even remember. But it was
all
like it happened
I thought
last
he was
year.
holding back on us.
Right,
No,
I thought so
it was
too.
like-
I
it's
thought
not-
so
no,
too.
no, no, it was
I thought
last
so too.
year.
I was like, this
Why
was a
am I-
good try.
I don't
but
know
just-
why I'm blanking on
Spill
this
the
one.
beans already.
Yeah.
Don't beat around the
But
bush.
essentially, I
Don't
mean,
tease me.
The gentleman ended up passing away.
Yeah.
He's a UFC.
Oh, yeah,
veteran.
yeah. That's right. That's right.
So no, I mean, I
can happen.
totally.
You
So-
got something to say about this, Joe? I saw that
Yeah.
microphone approaching your mouth.
Oh, just,
Okay.
No, I totally. I mean, I'm a big fan of the bare knuckle
Yeah.
situation.
Okay, I like to
It
hear
Not
reminds
loose his
me of-
knuckle.
It reminds me of the back in the day when fighters used to fight. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the gloves. It's great, and like you said with Joe Rogan, when he mentioned about his situation. But like I do miss the old school. Like you brought up back in the day when the fighters used to come out to the rings, like the whole pride thing. Or back when Tito Ortiz used to have flares and fire in the background, he'll come out.
Right.
But at the same time with bare knuckle stuff, I get it. I dig it. I can see it happening, long as it's maybe managed a little different. But you take that risk. I mean, growing up where I grew up, I mean, you get in a fight, you throw down. We just throw lifting gloves, like weightlifting gloves. We didn't have the cushion shit.
Right.
But we just threw down, and you break something, you break something. You get the shit. But at the same time, it's like you're thinking about fighting back like in the Gladiator. They didn't wear gloves. They didn't wear all this protection gear. You're fighting to freaking win and build your name. That's the way I see it.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people have different views, different opinions, but that's just
Maybe
way.
the toughest thing
Yeah.
is that they're not getting that paycheck from the promotions that they're in.
Of course.
So you step into bare knuckle, and all of a sudden, you go home with a chunk of change. You
Because
can
back
pay.
in the day, I flew over to Asia.
Yeah?
On a fight, and I almost fought this guy named Chung Lee,
Is that where you met your wife?
and that's where I met Rob Van Dam. And he
I was gonna
helped
say
me out.
Chun Li is the girls. You
Frog
go,
splash.
Yeah, man.
No, but I do like bare knuckle. It
Okay.
just has to be maybe a little different.
You're big on entertainment though, because you like the pro wrestling. You still love MMA, so you like to be entertained.
Very.
So I like that.
You know what I think? You know what I think we could do? I think this is what we could do. I think we should change bare knuckle and change it to an experience level. I feel like you shouldn't be able to have the experience that the guys have that are in it right now.
Sure.
I feel like if you take these guys like Bobby Gunn, who has over 50 bare knuckle fights, this guy is one of the most lethal bare knuckle guys out there on YouTube. Crazy. Started off with like 5 fans, now he has like 500.
Yeah.
Bare knuckle. But like you take a guy like that and you put him against someone new that comes into bare knuckle that doesn't really, he's gonna absolutely tear them apart.
Right.
Smoke, bad.
No,
You
yeah,
know,
you're
so maybe we do take it back to the old days, but we let kids decide if they're really gonna try and bare knuckle fight.
Exactly.
No,
And that's how they get ready for MMA for the sport.
There you go.
no.
They have to know that there's a brutality before the sport. So maybe.
There's more respect
That's a
from
nice.
that.
We'll
yeah.
see.
Honestly, I grew up in the streets, bro. I mean, that's just the way it was. You get in the fight in the hood, and that's how you build your toughness.
That's when you're growing up.
That's the way you grew up.
Yeah.
And you used to get hit. You used to get hit with the bare knuckles, with sticks, with clubs, with golf clubs, everything you think of, and you still stand.
Talking about my household.
You know what
I didn't even make it
Everything
to
but
the
the kitchen
street.
sink,
I
folks.
couldn't get
Frying
out of the house
pan.
with that. Yeah. Stuff flying through the air.
No, I mean, okay, so it's kind of crazy because there's more than 2 schools of thought, but the 2 that kind of are prevailing are, first off, a lot of guys like Chris Lights Out Lytle, right?
Lytle.
We've got the crippler Chris Lieben,
Lieben.
Tony Kryptonite Lopez, right? These are guys
Tony
who
Lopez,
still,
Jesus.
yeah. These are guys
So
who
many fights.
are still competing at a high level, and most people will say, not really a high level. But here's the thing: I mean, you've seen, Chris Lieben almost go through a career resurgence,
Yeah.
because he thought his career was done. His back can't really take the grappling as much as it used to, but here's another pathway for him to to essentially ply his trade and all of the experience that he has basically accumulated to his entire career. And when people are going like, "Oh, but he can coach," he is a coach. He is a coach down in San Diego.
You still got to eat.
He is an inspector and referee for Camo. Like, this is a guy who, with pretty much exhausted every possible scenario in terms of, kind of electing and pursuing his love of martial arts after fighting. He's done all that, but he's got this one chance to do it. He's got a young kid, and bills need to get paid, so
That's a good way to look at it. The
Right.
other thing is that can you step away from something that you've done with your heart in
Right,
it
absolutely.
for so long,
absolutely.
right? And
hard.
do you know when to step away?
Right.
Right?
Right. So I mean, I think those in the instance of like BJ Penn and MMA, where
Yeah.
Dana
It's
I
still
was,
in
gonna- I was gonna say it. Didn't want to say it. I was
Dana
gonna
has
say
really
it.
said like, hey, you know what? This is the last time. Now he said that in the past, but this last performance.
But he sells
was-
tickets.
Yeah. This last performance
Butts
was
and seats.
was not the greatest, and he was fighting an equally kind of tenured Clay Guida, and but here's the thing. So
Love Clay Guida, by the way.
Here's
Yeah.
a broader,
Right?
a broader
Absolutely.
type scenario. Shouldn't like Bellator or UFC or one of the major promotions have a Legends division where
It seemed like Bellator was becoming that.
I
Oh,
felt
shit.
like they were gonna
Yeah.
become that,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden they're like, "No, we're gonna actually get new fighters."
Yeah, so it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
But you know what? The thing about it, those freak show Gaga fights, right? What did they do? And this is one thing that I loved about Bellator. Is ethos in that deal. Yes, you've got the Gaga fight. You've got the Hoist and Ken
It's
Sharma.
nostalgia.
Yeah, right.
That's the history of MMA.
Right. Those names that people are just going to, cling to,
Yeah,
right?
I cling to
But
it.
what did they do?
I love it.
What,
Yeah.
what did the undercard look like? It was padded with some of the most elite level
The
talent.
future stars.
Right, absolutely. Of that region, of,
Aaron
their
Pico,
kind of
Henry
farming
Corrales.
system.
Yep.
Henry Corrales, Ron Archuleta.
Right.
Those guys were on those cards.
Yeah.
And now you know them. Ron Archuleta was just on Regis and Kelly, or Ryan and Kelly, or whoever the fuck took over Regis's deal. But, I mean, shit me.
You know what you're
that's
doing at 9
amazing,
a.m.
right?
on Channel 7? Yeah, I got you.
Huh?
I didn't know you got up that early.
Yeah. Up there in age?
No,
Yes,
up that
I'm
early because
82.
you get home at
least
5 a.m., so I didn't know you were up that early. Get the kids off to school, watch a little TV, eat some cereal, pass out.
There you go. That's it. How do you know mine? You don't know my life.
We have a camera
Yes,
in your
you do,
house.
apparently.
Yeah, I can
Yeah,
read minds.
should
It's all good.
Yeah, man.
So anything else? What did we not cover? UFC. There was UFC on Saturday.
A bunch of people got fucked up.
Yeah, pretty much.
That sums that one up.
Yeah. Yeah.
We did combates. We did knockout.
With Combate, shout out to Cooper Gibson and Chase, man. Both of those
Yes.
guys,
Hell yes.
great guys, well
Gibson
deserved
brothers.
wins. Absolutely, both animals and
Fighting
man
twins,
of God.
yeah.
So, shout
Yeah.
out to both of them.
You said it. Yeah, their
Yep.
team, their crew, they're over at CMMA.
Yep.
Yeah,
Something else, right?
absolutely. And I
Place for
mean,
champions.
there's another. I mean, in CMMA, they had a pretty stellar night on Saturday at Knockouts Promotion. I
Okay.
mean, they cleaned house apparently at the Jiu-Jitsu tournament this weekend,
Yeah.
and then.
But we didn't talk about that. What was that? What jiu-jitsu tournament was that?
LA Open.
I just
LA
saw
Open.
posts,
That's
yeah.
right. That's right. Cerritos.
Yep.
Yeah, I just saw posts about
They
it.
did
and I was
well.
like, what- yeah, and then came to knockouts, and they were in three title fights. They won two.
It's a hungry crew, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They're
So
doing
shout
a
out
little
to
bit of
Cody
everything.
Davis, who's the I believe it's the flyweight.
Yeah,
camo.
he's gotta be a flyweight.
Yeah, flyweight, both California state champion as well as knockouts promotional flyweight champion. Shout out to Cody, friend of the show.
Cool.
But yeah, I mean they had a pretty fucking good time, man.
That's good.
Leading into July 6th, on the opposite end of
Yeah,
town at
yeah.
Lights Out Promotions, Chad Savage George, the head honcho of CMMA,
We'll be
right.
steps
fighting.
into the cage one last time
This is it.
for Lights Out.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
we wish
so-
the best for him. I hope he goes out on a happy note.
I do too.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go.
He's brought so much talent to the forefront and really built up the South Bay area's MMA fighters. I mean, everybody. That's the who's who. I mean, I know Black House is right there, and I know that the Gracies are right there.
Yep.
There's a handful of places right there in the South Bay, but Chad's really stood out for himself and his
Yeah.
team.
And I mean, I love how the cross training happens because you'll see a Cooper and Chase Gibson at Black House.
Yep.
You'll
Yeah.
see the UWFI.
Oh, they share
guys.
love. Everybody's sharing love right there, right?
UWFI guys, at CMMA,
Yeah.
with Barnett and his,
Oh yeah,
Motley
Josh
Crue.
Barnett's were there with him.
Yeah,
all the time.
Absolutely, Victor Henry, AJ Bryant, who
Yeah.
again fights Lights Out. I mean, it's kind of cool, and everybody wants to talk about like, oh, savage, and like I'm gonna
Yeah.
kill whatever. And I'm like, the best part of the fights for me is the shake hands and yeah, dude, fuck it, whatever.
Because you're a hugger.
Yeah, I'm a hugger. I just want everybody to get along because
All those fight science guys are mixing it up too with everybody.
Yeah,
Obviously,
absolutely.
Ian
And
Harris and those
Ian-
guys.
Yep.
Yeah, shout out to Ian
Ghost
Harris,
Pepper.
who's
He's
out
at Black
in
House.
the UK.
Yep.
But he
In
was
the
there.
classic people over at Black House too. I see Ashley,
Tyler, and the whole
Evan Smith.
Yep.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. So I mean, I just love this because it's this community, especially here in Southern California, and I hope this is happening in Omaha or Evansville, Indiana, or Tallahassee, Florida, or whatever. Like, until you have to fight, don't be enemies, and even if you have to fight, do whatever.
Don't
But
make the
there
sport
is a-
into kissy now, Adam.
That might be the next evolution. I mean,
I call that pro
UFC,
wrestling.
lingerie fighting, and then kissy, whatever the fuck.
I love that you want peace and love, but sometimes that rivalry drives things.
If you're gonna call your opponent on Facebook, just make sure you show up on weight
That's right.
and ready to rock.
That's a fact.
If you're gonna run it,
Well
let's
put.
run it. Just
There
make sure
go.
you show up for the
There
fights.
you go.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, what are your social media handles so people can follow you and check out what the fuck you're doing?
All right, so the Instagram is Tristan Ezell at Too Tough Taking Over the World. That's number 2 TUFFTAKENOVERDO. Whoa, WORLD. Too much. But Too Tough Taking Over the World. Look up my name, Tristan Ezell. Also on Facebook at Tristan Haas Ezell. Too Tough MMA, also on Facebook. And, we're going to get into some good things coming here soon.
Hell yeah, man.
dig it.
Fuck, dude. Any last shout outs that you want to get out of the way as you've prior to you stepping into the cage for Star on July 6th?
I want to start by giving a shout out to you guys here.
Thank
at
you, brother.
Freedom Mission Media, Jim
Love you,
Crashers,
man.
I really appreciate you guys having me on.
Hell yeah.
It's awesome. And, I just want to shout out Black House, Brazilian Samurai MMA, Real Ketones, Athletic CBD, Standout Performance, all my training partners, everybody back home in Arizona, and the people that know, we're coming for something. And if you forgot, you're not going to, because we're on the way.
Love that.
Let's do it.
If you don't know, now you know.
And if you don't know, now you know.
Because Too Tough is taking over the fucking world.
It's Too
as
Tough
his
takeover.
Instagram handle will tell you. How about that?
Take it, Joe. Bring us out of here.
That's right, folks. This was Jim Crashers Live. We'll see you next week, Tuesday, 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time.
July 6th.
July 6th,
July 6th.
Spar Star,
Commerce
Commerce
Casino.
Casino. This guy steps into the Spar Star cage.
With Adam Woods and Don Doe with me, Joey the Bull Santana.
I thought it was Hino Hosa.